As dedicated allies to the First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples, we at Educanation recognize the vast sovereign, unsurrendered, and treaty territories from the east to the west coast. We acknowledge the First Peoples of Turtle Island to be the original and rightful land owners, land caretakers, and land healers to what we know to be Canada. Through an ever-growing network of partners and supporters, we at Educanation sincerely aim to continually work and learn how to be diverse and responsive in supporting the various wellness needs of Indigenous communities. Welcome to ECN Talks, brought to you by Educanation, Canada's first and only association of certified cannabis educators. Educanation is dedicated to delivering the highest standard of responsible cannabis education, supporting respect for holistic plant medicine. We're patients supporting patients, caregivers, and a growing network of cannabis coaches and educators because we've been there, been through it, and understand that there's more to cannabis than what we've been told. Stigma, myths, and disinformation have clouded more minds than any puff of cannabis smoke. So these conversations are to help clear the air while we celebrate the plant, the people, and the science behind cannabis by sharing stories, insights, and practical guidance to help you navigate the world of holistic plant medicine safely and confidently. Whether you're here to learn, explore, or just satisfy your curiosity, consider this your monthly dose of cannabis literacy without the hype, the smoke, or the stigma. Educanation is here to offer straight-up education you can trust. All right, we're on, we're live, we're back. Welcome to another episode of ECN Talks. We just started this thing, and it's really hard to believe that we're here on our 6th episode already. So if you haven't checked them out, check out episodes 1 to 5 on KGL TV on Spotify, or you can find it on YouTube at Educanation. Please make sure to follow, like, and subscribe, and make sure to ring that bell so you don't ever miss an episode. You can also find Educanation on many of your major social media platforms, including Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. We live most often on Facebook, and you can learn more about us if you visit our website at educanation.info. So here we are again, ECN Talks. We're here just exposing our internal conversations and shining light on the wisdom that comes when us cannabis educators gather around the virtual water cooler and talk shop. And this is your opportunity to join in on the conversation, elevate your mind and your knowledge as we dive deep into important topics that surround our industry. So we're here to walk with you on your cannabis journey, and we want to empower you with the knowledge that you need to make informed choices to support your health and healing. And that's a big part of what we do at Educanation, and we're dedicated to providing the highest standard of responsible cannabis education, and we're here to advocate for the plant and for the patients that she supports. So I'll finish rambling and just introduce myself. I'm JJ O'Brien. I'm a cancer survivor, an herbalist, and a medical cannabis educator, and one of the executive directors at Educanation. And I'm joined, as always, by my amazing co-host, co-executive director, and co-Aquarian, Educanation's founder, Shawna Dunbar.
Hey, JJ. I'm glad to be back here again for another episode of ECN Talks. Our last few episodes have been great episodes. We've started diving into the sovereign industry and what that means and what sovereign rights are and all of those things that I think a lot of Canadians, North Americans just don't really understand. So it's been really enlightening to dive a little bit deeper and learn a little bit more about what that means. And today we are excited to welcome our guest, Isaiah Kicknosway. From Kemosabi. We've got our toques on today. He is the founder of Kemosabi, which is an Indigenous brand, a cannabis producer on 6 nations of the Grand River. JJ, you met with Isaiah in 2024, and our other board member, Jose Bourgeois, also knows Isaiah, and together we have started nurturing a relationship, which has been really
Mm-hmm.
great over the last year. And that has turned into a partnership, which we're really excited about because we haven't in the past actually partnered with any licensed producers before, or
Great.
producers, I should say, before. And
Mm-hmm.
so I'm particularly excited that we have partnered with an Indigenous brand because it helps us show the world that we don't just support one market over the other, that we really do look at cannabis in its natural state, and that can be produced in any shape or form, right? We're here to talk about the plant and talk about supporting the plant. So we're excited about our partnership, and we're really excited to introduce Isaiah.
And start us off with telling us a little bit about your, cannabis origin story, how you came to learn about cannabis, and then what made you decide to come into the industry.
Cannabis origin story. I guess, well, I grew up on Wapalan First Nation, which is southwestern Ontario. Learned about cannabis, I guess, from extended family in knowing that it was kind of taboo,
Okay.
I guess, in my opinion, or from my upbringing. Got involved in the industry, I guess, from professional standpoint a few years ago when us as a company decided that this was an industry that we felt was going to be new and really exciting, and really all of the pieces of sovereignty, indigenous rights, and the ability to create an economic benefit for our communities was all there. Also knowing that the federal government has a long and storied history of leaving Indigenous people basically in the dust with any type of development, and which from that experience knew that would be the case with cannabis, and it's kind of played out like that in terms of the dialogue needed for a successful cannabis industry.
Mm-hmm.
And now with the experience uh, of that, it's been kind of how we've always seen it, is that Indigenous people um, can use it as an economic driver. We can be quality producers and quality businesses that benefit our communities, and that what really is the big gap is the education about that, not within our communities, but with that economic potential to any outside government, business, people in general. There's a big gray area and lack of understanding, which brings us back to you guys and the work that you do in trying to understand the plant, and then also the business and how it can help and support our communities, our people, our historical trauma, our economic situation. All of those are great things that we see for the cannabis industry.
Yeah, of course, because cannabis, of course, can be a commodity, but and it has been a beneficial commodity for a lot of people. But the medical benefits is not something I think that many people have as much education about, and I've noticed that that's something that you're a little bit passionate about.
Yeah, for sure. In understanding cannabis, and I think it relates to how uh, I've grown up, is that the world around us is medicine, and cannabis kind of extends that into something that can have multiple benefits, medicinally, whether you grow with it, whether it was for recreational, not even recreational, for therapeutic benefit. And there's so much to learn about plants in general. We kind of take this pharmaceutical aspect that is Western medicine, and isolate certain repeatable benefits, and which from my upbringing as an Indigenous person on my reservation. There's nothing better than a holistic approach to well-being. So, like I said, cannabis really it touches all the boxes in terms of those benefits.
And we've seen that you're not in our growing relationship and all of our conversations, you're not just taking the approach of looking at one aspect of the plant, right? Like you just mentioned, there's healing properties to it. But there's so much more to it than just that. And we've had recent conversations about utilizing the different parts of the plant, not just the flower, but the stalks and so on for potential building projects, soil remediation, all of the other things that we tend to just think are associated with hemp, but hemp is cannabis. And I really appreciate that you have an open mind to looking at all of the potential benefits of the plant. You're not just honing in on one aspect of it.
We were one of the first licensed producers, if not the first, through the Six Nations Cannabis Commission. I believe we received our license in 2021. Of course, prior to that was what everybody experienced and kind of now knows as COVID years.
Yeah.
We began to build around that time because legalization was in 2018. We started building the business around that time, but of course everything got extended and delayed through that worldwide problem. But yeah, felt the need to stand for our sovereignty in the industry and apply for a license with the Six Nations Cannabis Commission.
I have another question for you. There's an interesting story behind this name that you chose. Do you want to share with our listeners?
Yeah, so Kemosabi, as being shown there as a tagline from the Lone Ranger in Western film, and I believe it's the 30s, 40s, 50s. It was a long-running TV show in which there is an indigenous character named Tonto. His tagline would always be to his non-native counterpart, and they would call each other. This would be Kemosabi. They'd be like, "Hey, Kemosabi." It stems from an indigenous word. Depending, I'm sure there's origin stories on the word itself. It could be Mohawk. It could be Ojibwe. There's different stories surrounding that. But interestingly, the actor that played Tonto in the show was actually ownership's legitimate uncle who moved from Six Nations out to California, gained this role and became kind of an icon in indigenous territory and in film and kind of around the world. So ownership took the stance of let's utilize that word because we are trying to build loyalty, trust, and friendship in the industry, and that's to us is the perfect brand name for a company of this for this.
One of the biggest areas for growth in the cannabis industry is actually cannabis hospitality. And did you know you could start your own business for under $5,000? Allow me to take you through my mentorship program to receive your cannabis hospitality stewardship certificate, where we're going to allow you to understand this plant in a way in which you can actually shepherd the plant to people. And not only a way to start a new career, but a way to actually enrich people's lives so they can use the benefits of cannabis to enhance their lifestyle. Please join me on this revolutionary journey.
And we're back.
We're back with Isaiah Kicknosway from Kemosabi, licensed producer from Six Nations, and we're having a lovely conversation. We just learned a little bit about the history behind the Kemosabi brand and the name, and now maybe we could dive into talking a little bit about our partnership and why we decided to kind of join forces a little bit and maybe talk about some of what we have coming up. I don't know if you wanted to share a little bit about that, Isaiah?
Yeah, sure. Like I mentioned before the break, we see a need for educating our community on the many benefits of cannabis. When there's been this need of understanding it from multiple people's perspective, uh, based off of our relationship, uh, we knew partnering with Educanation would be great. Um, a great service to the community. So we're going to be having monthly uh, sessions where we're going to have members of the community come into a space that we're utilizing with Eminent Wellness, a local new opening um, health clinic. Once a month, we're going to have JJ come on site and speak directly to people that can attend um, in person. We're also looking to extend that online. There'll be a link in our social media and our website where if anybody's interested, please join us for the talk. Um, and yeah, and looking to do this for at least the next 6 months to touch on all the topics that are required to like I said, educate our community and the broader community uh, around the cannabis plant.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that's
Very
great.
excited about
You
that.
guys also did, you had a talk that with Chief and Council, where JJ came in and provided some education, and you guys did as well. Do you want to share a little bit about how that went?
From my perspective, it went really well.
Mhm.
There was a proponent in the community that felt that cannabis was getting a poor light shone on it in council meetings and in the broader community and in the media. For us as a producer, we felt that we basically needed to support that voice um, in providing a positive and more fact-based presentation. So JJ kind of was the first presenter to talk about the plant itself. We had another group that talked about the economic benefit, and then for myself, it was talking about the regulations that didn't match up with the industry. So from that, we kind of knew that it was purely educational in terms of showing the council, which had been only presented one point of view on the cannabis industry, the cannabis plant, etc., to give that counterpoint some airtime and show the impact that it's having positively on the community.
You mentioned the Six Nations Cannabis Commission earlier. I would like to talk a little bit about that and just about what it is and why you decided to sign up with them.
Yeah, Six Nations Cannabis Commission was created in, I believe, 2020. Don't quote me; it might be 1 or 2 years difference. But they were created by the Band Council of Six Nations of the Grand River to basically uphold laws that they created, and this particular commission was based out of those laws. You have to have some type of regulation for I think any industry, especially when um, there's so much products that can be made out of cannabis. So for us, the company, we felt that that's the best route to go. Uh, we want to be able to support ourselves and provide the economic benefit for our community, but then also have the ability to regulate ourselves and enforce our own laws that were basically built into treaties with the foundation of the country. And there are those agreements all over basically Turtle Island of nations and people that had these agreements that had that recognition of nations and the ability to create their own laws. So we see cannabis as an extension of those agreements.
And understand that you're talking about regulation. So there's often a misunderstanding that Indigenous producers are lumped in with the illicit market, where there are no regulations, but Six Nations coming together as an organization and establishing standards of practice and regulations does set you apart from the illicit market.
Oh, for sure. We feel that any product produced by us, we want to make sure that we can give to our family members. That's really the basis of the company and the community. We want safe product that is produced here by us, and we really want to be that brand that showcases that.
Is that an issue on Six Nations? Are there a lot of unsafe products around, or how would you say the industry is, and what are some of the challenges about it?
I think bad news travels the fastest. Anytime there's somebody or something that is an issue, it'll come out, and that's the thing you remember, right? So I'm sure there is issues with certain product, but like I said, we want to be that producer that stands behind our product and can confirm that, like, what you see is what you get. What we put on from every aspect is what you're purchasing. Yeah, so for us, we have no desire to join the federally regulated market. What we're really looking for, and I think the biggest challenge, is that acknowledgement of the Canadian Ontario government that we're producing a quality product, and we are a quality business that is equivalent to those products that are produced off territory, no matter where they are, right? Like a licensed producer in the Health Canada system, we want to be, if it were equivalent, we'd want to be the best Health Canada licensed producer. That's how we see things. And yeah, that's really the biggest challenge, because like I said, the bad news travels the fastest. So once you say Indigenous cannabis, it becomes, what was the latest headline that was negative about it, right? Because we have that ability to have a voice to say, we're doing this and we're doing this well. It's always overshadowed by what came in the news last week that was negative.
For sure. Yeah, we really appreciate that about you, and that's part of the reason why we aligned with this partnership as well. We love your commitment to educating your community and about how your organization gives back to the community as well, which is a really huge thing for you. And by bringing this education into the wellness center that you've had a big hand in bringing to the community as well.
You guys are doing great work in a field that's difficult to navigate sometimes. So appreciate you guys too.
Yeah,
Thank you. Thank you.
Right,
So we'll take a quick commercial break, and we'll come back for our AWOEC dose.
Yeah.
Educanation, a Canadian non-profit organization devoted to improving the quality of cannabis education and care across our nation and around the world. Educanation believes in continued education and support through the 3-tiered membership: cannabis education and outreach services, patient education and support through their holistic clinic model. Educanation, providing the highest standard of professional and responsible cannabis education. www.educannation.info.
Right.
We're back for our AWOEC dose, and we are here today to answer the question, what is a cannaflavin? It's a word that we don't hear very often, but it's starting to come out on different social media posts, and where people are starting to talk about it. So JJ, what is it?
Sorry, what's a cannaflavin? Well, it is a flavonoid, and a flavonoid is a plant compound that is responsible for the plant's color. It also actually protects the plant. It's like a defense mechanism. It's created in the trichomes of the cannabis plant, so it is for its protection, and it's also partly communication as well. Cannabis has 2 flavonoids that are specific to it, right? And these are the cannaflavins, and there are 2 of them. Yeah.
Canaflavin A and B. I think there's actually 3. I believe I looked at another canaflavin
Okay.
C. Maybe that's a newer discovery, or maybe I'm misremembering something, but I'm pretty sure I saw that somewhere.
Yeah.
But it's interesting that we see flavonoids are in plants everywhere, but that there are these cannaflavins. We call them cannaflavins because they are specific to the cannabis plant. We don't see them in other plants. And so it's interesting because we've been studying cannabinoids and terpenes, and we've been talking about those as being the only medicinal molecules. Well, not the only ones, but the ones that we focus all our attention on. And, they're like the big players, right?
Yeah.
But we're starting to see that these cannaflavins are actually really interesting too, because they have all these wonderful benefits as well. So I'm really interested to see what comes of these new studies that are studying these particular molecules in the plant, and what they're going to mean for us as patients, or what they already do mean for us as patients, but we don't necessarily understand them because we haven't learned about them yet. So what potential is there with cannaflavins? What can they do for our health?
Cannaflavins for our health. Well, I know that they are strong anti-inflammatories, and they do so in a different way as far as like cannabinoids interact with cannabinoid receptors. Flavonoids don't so much interact with the receptors, but they interact kind of with the whole system. So it's part of that whole entourage effect, that benefit of the whole plant and all of the synergistic components working together, rather than isolating. And that's probably why we don't know a lot about cannaflavins, because it's they're very difficult to isolate. And we know that that's what pharmacy likes to do. And so we probably haven't had so many studies on it because it's hard to isolate them.
Yeah. And I mean, but it goes back to what we always say, where we promote whole plant medicine. We don't necessarily understand every single molecule that's in there, because there's, over 500. And the more we study the plant, the more molecules we discover inside of it, right? And I sometimes wonder, is science ever going to catch up to the potential, right? Because there's so much going on there. But if we can just stick to the basics, the basic knowledge that this plant has a lot to offer, that it has very little in the way of harm, but, massive potential for benefit, and really stick to our guns on this entourage effect piece, right? Of utilizing whole plant medicine and products that contain as many of those molecules as possible to benefit us for our health.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to learn more about cannaflavins, and the more we learn, the more we will share with you as well.
Yes, exactly. So make sure you're following again on the socials, because that's where we will be sharing all of the things.
And
All
we're
right.
in persons in another couple months to be sharing more education coming up.
Maybe.
You want to share a bit about that, JJ?
Yeah, we sure do love in-person events, and we hope that you don't have plans for 420, because if you don't, you do now. This is going to be an incredible event sponsored by the OCS, and Educanation has partnered with the Canadian Cannabis Tourism Alliance to host this 420 festival and summit in Niagara Falls at the historic Old Stone Inn Boutique Hotel. It is a great place, really cozy, and it's going to be an incredible event. You can get your tickets right now. They're on Eventbrite. And what are we going to be doing there, Shawna?
Well, I think it's probably one of the events that I've been the most excited about, because it's the first time that we're being given space for harm reduction and education. So we're going to be hosting kind of a green out zone, because there's actually going to be cannabis consumption at this event. First event of its kind that is being allowed. We're not doing it in secret. We're actually being sponsored, and we can share about it out there in the public. And so with consumption, there's always the risk of overconsumption, right? And we know that overconsumption of cannabis isn't deadly, but it can be uncomfortable. So we're going to have a sweet little space set up for those that maybe overdo it a little bit. Make sure that you have a nice, quiet and safe space with us as educators who can help guide you through what greening out with cannabis can look like. We are going to have some black pepper on site. We're going to have some CBD on site and some other activities and things that we can do to help bring you down from that uncomfortable high in a safe and comfortable way. And we're also going to have education there. And I believe we're going to take part in a panel discussion. So yeah, we're really excited, and we're going to be there for 2 days. So from the 19th to the 20th.
Yes.
And we really hope you're going to make it out. We would love to see you in person.
Absolutely. Yeah. Sounds fun. There's going to be a lot going on. Our harm reduction area is going to be also in collaboration with our friends at the Dope Creative. So there's going to be some great distractions there for people as well, with some crafts and games. And of course, I'm sure there's going to be prizes from our sponsors. And this is just a great opportunity to come celebrate your love for this amazing plant with the people who love it just as much as you do. So we really hope that we're going to see you there. We're going to be there. So we're really excited.
Yeah, let's show the world how cannabis consumption events can be safe and wonderful.
Of course, yes. So, it just makes me think about how, they bring the St. John's ambulance people into any other festival or event where alcohol is allowed. And this is the same. This is what we're doing. We're the St. John's ambulance of the alcohol events, but this is a cannabis event, and we're here to support you. Sometimes somebody has a little bit too much, and that's just totally normal. But we're going to share about how you can avoid that and how you can mitigate that. So it's going to be a great day, but we hope that you're just going to come and have some fun. Consume responsibly, and have a wonderful time. And we're really looking forward to it. So we hope to see you there.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone. See you next time.
All right. Yeah, we'll see you next time for At Educanation, we believe education is harm reduction. The more you know, the more you can enjoy the benefits of cannabis safely and effectively. To elevate your level of knowledge, join us next month as we chew the cud together on the many strategies available to transform your health and wellness with the support of our plant ally, cannabis. In the meantime, visit educanation.info so you can follow us on social media, subscribe to our newsletter, or join our organization so you never miss a show, a series, or a soundbite. Educanation is a nonprofit dedicated to responsible cannabis education, working alongside a community of members, advisors, partners, and sponsors. Our mission is made possible by the collaboration of volunteers and the generosity of our listeners. If you've learned something from us, we invite you to consider supporting our work through a donation or sponsorship. Your contribution allows us to continue delivering unbiased, stigma-free, science-backed information, empowering you to make informed decisions that nurture the health of your endocannabinoid system. ECN Talks is brought to you by Educanation and the KGL Network. If you are interested in being a title sponsor of this show, please reach out to us at educannationinc@gmail.com.